Welcome everyone to the NTT IndyCar series. We've had a triple header to start the season, we've had a week break, and it is time to continue the story of 2026. What a start to the campaign it has been, and now we continue it with free practice after one practice session yesterday. It's practice 2 today ahead of qualifying, and before it all begins to get a little bit important. So we're about to let the 25 drivers loose here for the Children's of Alabama IndyCar Grand Prix, practice number 2. 40 minutes coming your way in company of IndyCar Radio.
This is the NTT IndyCar Series. With live coverage of today's practice, this is IndyCar Radio, powered by Only Bulls.
For the 16th time in series history, beautiful Barber Motorsports Park just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. Getting a visit from the NTT IndyCar Series, and they have rolled out, as always, the most hospitable of welcome mats. Fans continue to file into this beautiful facility as we get ready to set the field a little bit later on today for tomorrow's race. Davey Hamilton joining me. I'm Mark James. Happy to have you with us. Good morning, everyone. And Davey, a pretty clean practice session yesterday, and a lot of familiarity with this course as we mentioned, the 16th visit here. And a guy that's been to victory lane a couple of times, Scott McLaughlin, showed the fast way at a 67.3840.
Yeah, a really good day yesterday. I mean, these drivers now really know the track well. They've all been here, whether it's been a test, and even our rookies have all been here. So it's a situation where now it's just finding that little bit of speed. The entire field was really within a second yesterday, Mark. Just tells you how competitive this series is and how difficult it is to gain those spots. And, you know, I always say, you know, a tenth of a second doesn't sound like a lot when you say it, but trying to fight on the racetrack is very, very difficult. And that could be the difference in a couple rows in qualifying. So this final practice session is going to be key. The track conditions have changed. It's a little cooler out, track temperatures down. But in Indy Next, as we expected, with that heavy air, more downforce, the engines run a little better. They did set a track record earlier today.
Yeah, you mentioned the conditions. Let's get the specifics on that. A 30-plus degree difference from this time yesterday here at Barber Motorsports Park. I was out for Indy Next qualifying earlier. Wind is noticeable. And let's get the specifics on the conditions by welcoming in Alex Wolf.
And Mark James, definitely noticeable with that change in conditions. Ambient temperature 51, track temperature 69. While there's not much of a change in ambient temperature as far as the beginning of this session, the feel is much more pleasant because there's still some cloud cover around, but not as much as we had at the beginning of Indy Next by Firestone qualifying about an hour or so ago. A lot of sunshine, blue skies, and that breeze still kicking up ever so slightly every now and then here on the pit lane here at Barber Motorsports Park, but a picture-perfect day condition-wise as we get underway.
DJ Clark joins us on race day. Michael Young is here for the rest of the weekend of the pits with Alex Wolf. And Michael, this is an ultra-important practice session for these teams, a 40-minute all-skate, and then two groups of 12 minutes as they get ready to nail things down for qualifying later today.
It's one of those interesting things here at Barber Motorsports Park. Track time is always key, and for whatever reason, things always seem to get busy and cars to get jumbled up. So very important those last two sessions where the cars go out and split groups to get time out here. The big key though is what we've learned thus far is not out the window, but certainly a lot cooler than it was yesterday when these cars were out here running, and we will expect these types of conditions tomorrow for the race as well. So what they learned today is a little more apt to what they will see tomorrow as far as conditions go. It is chilly right now, and as we saw in Indy Next by Firestone qualifying, speed certainly picked up. Those lap times dropped. Should be a fantastic practice session here early morning here at Barber Motorsports Park.
A couple of things different for us in this visit, Davey. It's a little bit earlier in the year. We were here May 4th a year ago, but it seems like every year there's either been a lot of rain prior to our visit and lingering effects of that, or rain sometime during the course of the weekend. No such worries this week.
Yeah, this weekend shows clear. I mean, I thought it may rain last night, and it showed none. It did not rain, and one thing that does, Mark, it keeps this track rubbered up. The rubber's not going to wash off the track. Conditions are going to stay pretty much the same. Now, we can get to a point where there's too much rubber and starts peeling it off the racetrack, creating those marbles that we never like to see on the outside of the groove. But right now, I mean, as I said, qualifying just before this practice with Indy Next, track records being set, I expect to see fast times here. got to remember, these are going to be the primary tires. IndyCar set their fastest times yesterday on that alternate red sidewall tire.
2.3 miles in length, the front straightaway, which we are high atop, 1,400 feet in length, and 1,100 foot back straightaway. There are 17 turns in all, 7 to the left, 10 to the right. That elevation changes as much as 80 feet. And I mentioned to you when I was out for Indy Next, I was looking up the course at that final turn before you come back to the start-finish line. And I forget about it until I come back here and see it. There is a noticeable elevation change off of that final turn before you hit that straight.
You know, what's crazy is it's such a mild one because there's such big ones at this racetrack, so you don't really think about that, Mark. But as we've seen, really a lot of incidents coming off that final corner onto this front straightaway. As you said, it definitely banks and drops off at the same time. So it feels like you could really carry a lot of speed through there with that banking. But as it's dropping off at the same time, it's easy to put those right side tires off the racetrack and into that barrier, which we've seen several times in the last few years.
From our vantage point here, high atop the start-finish line, for the straightaways that we have as part of our view out the window here above the start-finish line, it's almost like we're watching a tennis match. We see them go right to left, left to right, right to left, left to right.
And by the way, we're right above Charlotte's Web, which is probably there's more passing and overtaking in Charlotte's Web than anywhere on this racetrack. So obviously we got the best view of the house. We can see a majority of this racetrack, probably about 65% of the track is at our view, which you can't say that about very many road courses.
Very similar, I think. I mean, there's a lot of elevation changes and whatnot, but in terms of our view of a road and street course from the booth, the only thing that I remember in all of my years of doing this is similar would be Sonoma. You see a lot of racetrack out of the booth in Sonoma.
That's right. You see a lot of racetrack in Sonoma as well, which sometimes you got to look way down that straightaway, but you can see it down there before you come off that corner into the S's. But this track, it's so green, so beautiful, very picturesque, and you know, with the grass, it's so green right now, and these trees and the campers around, it makes it a lot of fun just to be here.
Well, that practice session yesterday showing that parity was the order of the day, and that continues a trend that we talked about yesterday that we started off this season. 3 races in a 3-week span. We've got 3 different race winners, and boy, I'll tell you, 10 of 25 drivers have a top 5 finish. There are 7 drivers within 46 points of the series lead. There were only 3 of those within the series lead this time a year ago because of the start that Alex Palou got off to. Several teams are in the mix, and certainly Kyle Kirkwood and Andretti Global, one of them.
He's on a roll. Now, he has been before, too, winning 3 street races right off the bat last year. They're kind of putting a little pressure on Palou. Did a good job. He's doing it again this year. If he can find that consistency, he is going to be a contender. He's obviously leading our points championship right now. So he looks strong. I think a lot of confidence out of that team and that driver. It's going to be exciting to watch this whole year because Palou, as he said when we interviewed him, it's hard to compare last year to anything looking forward because what he did is almost impossible. It's just almost impossible what he did, but he did it with grace, and he knows that's going to be hard to repeat.
Pato O'Ward is the early leader at a 67.371. Kyle Collette now second quick at a 67.458. Schumacher goes to P1 at a 67.341. And again, we should mention, Davey, McLaughlin's fast lap yesterday was a 67.384.
Yeah, wow. So already in these conditions, really put some speed down. I think the grip is surprising everybody, just how much grip's on this racetrack. And it's good, it's good to see Schumacher out there. He ran some good times at the end of the day yesterday. But he said this track and the next one he's really looking forward to. It has that European feel that he's used to.
Well, one of the groups associated with the NTT IndyCar Series, always interested in anticipation of a new event and how they're going to perform. Certainly our good friends at Firestone, I mean, they have a pretty good handle on what to bring here, Michael Young. So I guess for Kara from Firestone, a couple of questions for her. Were they happy with how the tire performed, which is very similar to State Pete at Arlington? And then what are their thoughts on the Firestone Firehawks they brought for this weekend?
All right, let's ask her. Are you listening? Or normally Kara listens, but I will ask the question. Kara Kristalik, Executive Director of Race Tire Engineering and Production for Firestone. Let's go back a couple of weekends ago. Arlington, thoughts on that? We loved it. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was a great street course. As long as we could keep catering off the racetrack, it seemed like a great weekend. Tires performed really well. They're right in the range of all of our other street courses. So from a Firestone side, seeing all the people out and all the interest in the race in the Newmarket was awesome.
critical are you of your tires? If you were to give them a grade, what would they have been for Arlington? Having never been there before, you can't really test it.
Yeah, so I'm always very critical of myself and of course our tires. We look at everything through a very fine-tooth comb. But looking at the performance there, looking at what the tires looked like when they came off the car, it was exactly the right tire specification that we brought.
It was a fantastic event, and hats off to you guys for coming in with such a fantastic race tire. Coming back to a place like this, we're used to coming here. We've been coming here over a decade. What type of tire do we have this weekend? Any changes? Any thoughts of making changes?
So we talked to IndyCar right after the race last year, and they said, please don't change anything. We really liked it. So we had a couple compound updates that we wanted to make. We keep adding more sustainability content into the tires, so we want to be able to do that, but we wanted to have the same performance that we had last year.
We're with Kara Kristalik, Executive Director of Race Tire Engineering and Production for Firestone. On a day like today, and this is always a question I think about because I always think of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and when it's cold, it's like, well, the tires get up to temp. It's a chilly morning this morning here. How does the temperature affect these Firestone racing tires?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Where the temperature comes into play when it gets really chilly is how quickly do they come up to temperature. So you'll have some people putting a little bit more work into the tires, maybe changing the suspension a little bit to put more work and energy into the tires to help them get up to speed really quickly for qualifying.
Do you ever say to IndyCar, I know you like our tires, but we'd like to tinker with them a little bit? Or are you happy when they say leave them the same? Or is there always a need to perfect them even more?
So it's really interesting, Michael. We look at what the drivers say about the tires. We look at the engineering analysis of the tires afterwards. We hear from IndyCar what they want to see. A lot of times those things don't always align, so we try to make sure we make the best thing for the show. But of course, at Firestone, we're known for that durability, the safety of the tires. So it's always number one, and then everything else comes into play after that.
Always great to see you. We'll let you get back to it. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weekend here. Barbara, it's not raining for a change. It's going to be a beautiful weekend.
It's cool and it's beautiful out here, so if you can get out to the racetrack, please do.
Thank you for your time as always. Eric Kristalik, the Executive Director of Race Tire Engineering and Production at Firestone, Mark.
Yeah, always good stuff, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate the tremendous insight each and every race weekend for the folks at Firestone. And, yeah, I think universally applauded for the Firestone Firehawks they brought to Arlington, Davey. And, of course, their success here is well documented.
Well, I always said this about Firestone. They're that company, they're going to win every single race. It's the only tire in our series. But what I'm so blown away and so appreciative of with Firestone is they don't stop there.
Right.
They don't just have a tire that gets a spot, as you heard from Kara. That they make sure that the tire has the safety that we need, no matter what. They make sure that it's the best for the show and listen to the drivers of the series. So it's changing all the time. They don't just put a tire out and say, hey, that's good enough, let's go. They are continuing to test, develop, and make it better for everybody.
So we're about 11 minutes into the session, and Mick Schumacher continues at a P1, 67.341. Then Pato Award, and then Alex Palou. We've got Collette, Malukas, VK, Newgarden, Lundgaard, Siegel, Dixon, then Kirkwood, then Ferrucci, then Felix Rosenquist, Alexander Rossi 14th, 15th is Will Power, 16th is Scott McLaughlin. And by the way, Davey, the top 16 are all in the 67-second range.
Yeah, no, they definitely picked up some time from yesterday, and they were on that alternate tire yesterday as well. So it tells you a couple things. The temperatures made them go a little bit faster. Obviously, all these teams worked on where they had to make their cars better. The drivers worked on their driver etiquette to make sure that that they're getting the very most out of the car, making sure every corner is perfect, and that's showing extra speed today.
Rasmussen, Hauger, Armstrong, Foster through 20th. Those guys are all in the 108 range. As a matter of fact, the slowest thus far is Marcus Ericsson at a 69.361. Award is P2, Alex, with a time of 67.371.
And he was a driver that after the all-skate yesterday, before that split session, made wholesale changes for Pato Award, a former winner here at Barber Motorsports Park. Made those changes on the front and rear suspension on the 5 car. He's looking good so far today. Came in, they took the rear engine cover off, took a look at the rear suspension, the shocks and springs. Just made a little bit of a tweak to the front shocks and springs with the front cover off of the 5, but they have that reaffixed. They've put on some sticker primary black sidewall tires, and Pato Award will be heading back out trying to improve on that time here momentarily.
I do want to skip back back to the conversations we had with Firestone to let the folks know who keep track of such things. 5 sets of primary tires, 5 sets of alternates to be used during the event weekend. Of course, if you field a rookie driver, you can use one additional set of primary tires, but you had to do that yesterday in that first session. And Davey, here on the natural terrain road course, the mandated 2 uses of the alternates is not in existence.
That's right. Now, so the alternate in the race is just you have to run an alternate and a primary at least 2 laps during the race, however you want to lay it out. As we've known in the past, the alternate tire has been tire of choice at this particular racetrack. So I foresee most people starting on that primary tire just to kind of get it out of the way and then putting the alternates on at the end. But you know, there's another strategy. If you're out front, put that alternate on, try to get as big a lead as you can on that tire, then put the primary on in the middle of the session, and then at the end, put that alternate back.
We should also make mention that for qualifying later today, that the Firestone Fast 6 will be an all-skate this weekend. It will not be single-car qualifying like it was at Arlington. Ran into race control in the infield, the race director Kyle Novak, and asked us what we thought about it, me and Michael Young, and he said, we're taking a lot of input from a lot of drivers. It's something that the drivers by and large wanted, that single lap qualifying for that final 6, and he said we'll see what we do with it moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's a situation. I like trying it. I think I like the challenge of it for the driver, just having to get that lap perfect.
Right.
I think at a track like Arlington, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Mark. I think you were the one that came up with it, actually, is having 2 cars on the racetrack.
That's what we told Kyle. Yeah.
You know, I mean, just so it's busy all the time. You know, there's not so much time in between. It cuts time down a little bit. It keeps cars on racetrack, and it still puts that pressure on the driver to cut that one good lap in.
And it's funny because I asked him about it. I said that very thing to him, and he said, well, McLaughlin said that they do it that way for supercars, and the message that they give to drivers, that Kyle's concern was, well, what if somebody sticks one in the fence while the guy's out on a flyer?
Yeah.
And McLaughlin said, well, that's just tough luck. And Kyle said, yeah, like you guys are going to respond to that if you're the one whose lap's messed up. And I said, oh, you've talked to race car drivers, haven't you?
No, and he does have a point. He really does. And I think that's, you got to put everything into play like that, and that's good. They're thinking about things, but I think that doesn't happen very often. It's going to happen. It would happen if they continue to do that. You know that. But if they just have a way around it, I do like the challenge of that 1 lap per driver. I think all the drivers want to get the best out of themselves. Now, one thing with Arlington that kind of showed, it seemed like the track got worse as the session went. You know,
first guy went out, set on pole.
Set on pole, yeah. And usually it's kind of the other way because the fastest guy goes last. So, you know, they'll come up with a good idea. And every track is going to play a little bit different role. You know, what I mean, on the size of it, and how these drivers attack that.
I would be extremely surprised if we did single car Fast 6 qualifying at Road America.
Yeah. You put 4 cars on the track at the time, and not have them find each other. So
maybe at Mid-Ohio or someplace like that you could do it. You know, Long Beach for instance. You know,
and I think it's a situation back to what we just talked about is if you put multiple cars on most of these racetracks, it keeps a fan, it keeps that energy going, and it goes by much quicker.
Multiple pole sitter here. Will Power has gone to P1, and I think some of the comments that I saw on social media after post-practice yesterday, Will feels like that he's going to have the best car that he's had this season at this racetrack this weekend.
Well, you know, he's got a lot of good history here, and whenever you have good history at the racetrack, that makes you really love it, no matter what team you're with or what car you're in. Now, we know that Will started off very fast, had some problems. Oh, we got one turned around, looks like Scott Dixon. No, that's
that is the PNC Bank machine.
Yeah, it is. No, it's an Arrow McLaren.
Oh, that's an Arrow McLaren car. It's the same color scheme, but it's kind of turned to the side.
With the side of it, I thought Dixon as well right off the bat, but that is one of the Arrow McLaren cars. Can't tell exactly which one it is right now, but I'm thinking that may be Nolan's.
Yeah, that is Nolan's.
That is Nolan's
machine. That's the NTT data spot.
There you go. That's right. Nolan. And those cars, you know, forgive us, they all look the same. It's always and the angle that we have, couldn't really tell who it was, but we'll see what happens to Nolan right here. I think he just the back end starts coming around, and he goes to save it, cannot get that job done. Turns around, see if he makes any contact. No, it doesn't make any contact. So no harm, no foul. Just need to get him straightened around and get going again.
Is that the toughest thing for a driver to understand exactly what happened when inexplicably it just breaks loose?
Yeah, well, that area right there, you got to remember, that is down there in that very, very difficult area that we continue to talk about over and over again, down there in turn 12. Going over that rise into 13, the car gets really light right there, and you got to be really gentle getting on that throttle, cresting that hill, and I think that's the situation. Just had a little too much throttle coming over the top of that hill, broke the tires loose, and around he went, but good news he didn't.
There are a lot of places on this racetrack where that car gets very, very light on the crest of these hills.
And that's the biggest one right there. I mean, it's a big challenge coming over that area because it's blind, too. You're trying to get the throttle down. It's a really fast area. But then and when it's blind, you're saying, man, am I in the right line? Because you don't know that until you crest over that hill and start coming downhill. But you got to be very gentle on that throttle as well.
Let's hear from Alex Wolff.
In the 66 pit with Mike Shank. And Mike, first off, let's sort of assess it. Busy couple of weeks for the IndyCar Series, your organization as a whole, just to assess how this 2026 campaign's gotten underway.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we haven't realized our full potential yet. But really good runs at different times and different things didn't get done all the way. But really encouraged about where we're at and keep digging here.
With a huge change in track conditions as far as the temperature, are these the sorts of things that keep team owners, strategists, and engineers up at night from one day to the next?
Yeah, especially this kind of shift we had from yesterday to today. Track looks pretty racy right now, which is fine, and it looks like it's going to be cool tomorrow. So a little more indicative of probably what's going to happen the rest of the weekend. But, you know, we look forward to it, and I hope to see a ton of people out here this weekend.
And, of course, we always talk about the great music partnerships that your machines have with Sirius XM. No exception this weekend with Kenny Chesney on not one but two cars.
Yeah, it was really cool. He's getting ready to do his residency at the Sphere, and we really support that. Obviously, he has his own channel on Sirius XM, who's our biggest partner of ours. So we look forward to having him, Kenny, who's a personal friend of Jim Myers, and it's just great to have him part of this.
I look forward to seeing what your cars can do on the Sirius XM channel 218 all weekend long. We appreciate your time and wish you good luck today and tomorrow.
Absolutely. Let's tune in.
Let's go to Michael Young.
Down in the pit box of the Arlington race winner Kyle Kirkwood, actually a lot of adjustments going on in the side pod area. Air blockers being moved in and out, basically trying to control and regulate that temperature to the water side, which is on the left side of the car, and the oil side and the hybrid side, which is on the right side of the car. Tinkering with that, trying to get it into that right temperature range within 5 degrees or so. They want to keep that, but also trying to help with blocking that air and getting inside of that car. So a little bit of aero as well. But Davey, the tinkering, especially in these temperatures, trying to find the not only right temperature to run these cars, but to keep that aero significant as well.
Yeah, hey, Mike, that's a really good point that you brought that up, because with the cooler conditions, obviously, everything runs at a prime temperature, and that you have to block those off because the cooler air going through there, you have to make sure that it generates proper heat. But that's another thing that makes these cars faster. The more you block off those inlets, the better the car gets through the air, because it's not going through the radiator. Radiator is like drag. I mean, the air going through anything like that. So really, really good point. That's another reason in these cooler conditions that these cars are going quicker.
You just don't want to leave those in during the parade lap of the 500.
Well, we've seen that happen.
Yes, we have seen that happen.
And by the way, I think it was a front row or a pole sitter.
It was,
so,
yeah.
It's not. That was never good.
Yeah, for sure.
There's
Okay.
a few guys have lost jobs on that.
First driver has hit the 66 range. It's Christian Lundgaard is P1 now at a 66.972.
And we can continue to see Lundgaard just really pushing that team. Him and Pato, I tell you, Pato is the track record holder here. I don't think we're going to get down to that point.
Minute 5:50.19.
Yeah, about a little ways away from that, obviously. And I think that the cars that we did that with aerodynamically were completely different. So, but right now, I tell you, Lundgaard's doing a really good job. He wants to be there. He's hungry. I think him and Pato especially, they really communicate well. You look at the times that they run and how they push each other. That's really healthy for that McLaren team.
Hey, I know we touched upon it. Don't want to belabor the point because the show must go on, and nobody felt that more than this place's namesake, now the late George Barber. But again, a heavy heart this weekend, but certainly his spirit is alive and well here at Barber Motorsports.
His spirit is alive and well here, Mark. Yeah, exactly right. And you know, as we come here, and it's been the 16th time, which just amazes me, right, that we've been here that many times. But just be able to meet George and see what kind of a character he was and see what kind of a vision he had for this beautiful facility. He's pretty incredible, and you listen to his story on how he's gone about it from the dairy. You know, that his family was in dairy.
8 years old, riding in his grandfather's truck.
Yeah, that's right.
Milk.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then just to have the creativity, you know, racetracks. You know, I've been around a lot of them, as you have as well, but just the creativity of what he's been able to do here in this beautiful part of the country, and really in the museum. Let's start, you know, the world's largest motorcycle museum.
Well, let me add, if you go to the newly renovated IMS Museum, you will see some influence, because this is one of the places they visited before they redesigned
because just the creativity that he had and the mindset and what he wanted, and he's going to be sorely missed. It was just very unfortunate that we lost George, but you know, he had the right people in place, because everything goes forward as it should and needs to. But he is definitely going to be missed.
Well, and the friendliest people here. Everywhere you meet, everyone you meet. I mean, everybody from the shuttle drivers to the folks helping you find your seat. The way they move people around this massive facility with all of the shuttles and the trams and what is something to behold.
Well,
it really is.
That is definitely one thing that I love about this facility, is because there's really no grandstands around this facility, Mark. There's viewing mounds and hills to go around. But with the shuttles, the way they have it, during an event, you can get on that shuttle and go all the way around this racetrack and see so many different perspectives of this track and how the cars go through it. I think because there's so many unique corners and the speeds that you see and the techniques that you see, it's very, very fun to do that. And by the way, just the people coming here this weekend. This morning I came pretty darn early because we were on early with Indy Next, and the line to get in this place was pretty incredible. So not only us, but I mean the people that live here and the fans that come, they love this facility as well.
Lots of momentum for sure through the first part of the season for the NTT IndyCar Series. Alex Wolf, Christian Lundgaard at a 66.972 currently leads the way in this last practice session before we go qualifying later today.
And the amazing thing for that Arrow McLaren Chevrolet, number 7 for Christian Lundgaard, as they are still tweaking on this machine. They have the rear engine cowling off, making some adjustments to the rear shocks and springs. So they got the speeder wrenches out, finishing up those adjustments. So still working on fine-tuning this machine despite being at the top of the speed charts.
Yeah, they're always going to be looking for that extra tenth or so, and the reason they do so, Davey, is because that's what everybody's doing.
Yeah, another thing that we see here that I just it makes it difficult, honestly, to watch it because it's so dangerous. Everybody slows down before that timeline to try to get clear track in front of them.
Yeah.
And we just seen a big pile up going down into turn 12, into 13, because that timeline is between turns 13 and 14. And it's piled some guys up. I seen one car, like, at last minute come through that area, passing some guys. It's just very tough. It's, you know, you'd like to say spread yourselves out going onto the racetrack, not right before the timeline, because we've seen that at St. Petersburg one year where Sato comes around the corner and smashes into the back of guys. Somewhat dangerous, but, you know, I just never liked that theory of slowing down right in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, and I mean, this track really, honestly, as we mentioned, it's about 2.5 miles in length.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time to space yourself before you get to that timing line.
Yeah, you really do, and I think that's just a key point. Like, say, if you do it coming out of the pits, it makes it so much easier. And just when you're on racetrack, if you're on a racetrack and it's green flag, that means it's go. It doesn't mean slow down. There's no caution out. Yeah, you may benefit yourself, but you really stack up cars behind you. So it's been that way for a long time. Nothing's going to change, obviously, because it's been that way for years. But it does worry me about the safety of that sometimes.
I want to take a look at the Ganassi team as a whole. Alex Palou, of course, a career average finish of 2.8 through 5 starts in Barber. That's the best among active drivers. Scott Dixon, a career average finish of 5th. That's the 3rd best among active drivers. He has 9 podiums, 10 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and no wins here.
Yeah, no, that's another one with no wins, right? I mean, this track is very hard to win at. It's a little surprising that there is no win, but so close. So you know this is one that he'd love to check off because, you know, it's a fun place. It's you want to check them all off.
Right, yeah.
The more you can check off, the better, and you know that is on top of his list.
Got to feel like that this should be a good weekend for Kiffin Simpson all in all. He got to the Firestone Fast 12 and qualified 10th last season. Had some handling issues and a strategy decision relegated him to 21st. But Davey, 2 top 10s for him on permanent road courses last season.
Yeah, you know, one thing with Kiffin, we've seen some, you know, speed out of Kiffin, and he just had a little bad luck this year, right? I mean, he's kind of been put in some situations the first few races that just didn't work his way, and I should say all the first three. So right now, he's probably on that rebound a little bit, saying, okay, let's refocus. Let's get the luck going our way, guys. I've had some speed. He's showing it right now on those speed charts. He is actually not looking too bad in that 7th. Not too bad. Really good, actually, in that 7th spot.
So Alex Palou now has gone to P1, and the pace quickens a bit as we have more drivers in that 106 range. Lundgaard was fastest a few moments ago, Davey. He's now tumbled to 7th as Palou, Grosjean, Ericsson, Collette, and Award have all gone to that 66 range. And now we see yet another driver, Pato Award and Renus VK. They've all gotten into that 66 range. So that's the number that the top 7 have reached.
And I think more than likely they put some new tires on. They have that allotment, as you said, with 5 primaries, 5 alternates. And so right now, I think it's probably time. Let's put some new tires on, go out in these good conditions and lay it down. More likely that's what they did. Don't be surprised to see more guys kind of leapfrog, including Ray Hall, Foster, McLaughlin finds himself 23rd, Rosenquist 22nd, Hauger 21st, Kirkwood, guy that's good fast, and Dixon all on the bottom of the charts, but they'll probably put some new tires on here momentarily.
About new tires, we're under 12 minutes to go now in this session, so I don't know, is there at all a possibility, because of the fact conditions right now are somewhat similar to what we're going to see on race day tomorrow, could they be running just primaries in this session and waiting till the split sessions to do alternates?
You know, I'm not 100% sure on that ruling if alternates are still allowed in this session or they had to do them yesterday. I get confused because they changed that around a little bit, Mark. But you're right. This is a situation where this is more like a race conditions, no question about it.
Let's go to Michael Young with more.
Yeah, with Mitch Davis, race strategist for Romain Grosjean, who currently sits P2. Quick question about the alternates. We were talking about it in the booth. When are you first allowed to run the alternate tires in a session?
Yesterday we were able to run them. Then they have to be stamped, and then we can run them again in the warm-up. We won't run alts now till qualifying.
Talk about this team, and since you've been here, it's been a couple of years, what, 3-4 years now that you've been with Dale Coyne Racing. The pick of not only Dennis Hogger, but Romain Grosjean, this is a duo that I think will prove to be very successful for the team. How were you able to put all of this together?
Well, you got to talk to Dale about that.
Oh, you had a little something to do with it.
Dale's the master of putting all this together. We worked really hard on the car for, like you say, for 3 years. Got the right people in place and Romain in place. He's helping Dennis a ton being a rookie, so this is really working out well for us.
What does Dennis bring to this team, and with Romain's obvious prowess at not only all street and road and street courses, but at this course especially, how has he been able to help Dennis?
He's got a lot of experience, and Dennis has so much raw talent that sometimes he gets confused on, not knowing exactly where the car needs to be with, like you say, all the different tires, all the different strategies, all the hybrid strategies and everything. And Romain's like spot on with everything. And together they work really well.
I know you're very busy. We'll let you get back to it, but congratulations. It's been a heck of a season thus far, and you've got 2 great shoes underneath you.
Thank you.
There you go. That's Mitch Davis, race strategist for the Only Bulls Bit Nile machine. B-Max, a sponsorship on the car this weekend for Romain Grosjean.
When I first started with this deal, I learned so much about it from him in that pit box. I mean, as long as you timed it right, you would get such insight. I mean, he's been at it a long time. It was all the way back to working with Jeff Ward.
Yeah, no, a long time ago. Mitch has been a friend, and, he's always been at the top of the level of what he does. He's another one of those guys, kind of like Michael. You're not going to get him excited. He's just that guy that really is heads down. He really looks at the big picture of it. He loves doing what he's doing. He's been doing it a long time. It's guys like that you worry about when they're not going to do it anymore, when they're done, when they're going to retire, because they're so valuable to our series.
I think he's tried to a couple of times to keep him, kind of like Billy Vincent. They keep dragging him back in.
Somebody gets that lasso and ropes him, then brings him back in. So
not a lot of arm twisting, though. I think
I know. When you love it, you love it.
Well, but though, for Mitch Davis, with all that he has accomplished, I mean, it's got to be the right situation, right?
They spun out right there in Charlotte's Web, but you're right. You got to put him in the right situation. Yellow flag, I think, is going to come out. I think they got it going again. Looks like one of Ed Carpenter's cars. They got spun around.
All right, so Palou remains P1 at a 66.468, and then VK, he's starting to pedal a little quicker, Davey.
Yeah,
well, 66.595.
That's another guy that's kind of bounced around the last few years with Ed Carpenter over to Coin, now with that Uncos Hollinger racing team. He's another hungry guy. He wants to perform. He wants to do well. And he had a little mistake he made at Phoenix, but you know what? He knows what happened. If he had that to do all over again, you may see him towards the top of this championship battle as well. So right now, that team and him, they want to perform. And right now, he laid it down, and like you said, in that second spot, but between Palou and Grosjean, good company.
Now, what we say, 46 points, I think, separate the top 7 or 8 in points. It's the most parity we've had at this point in quite some time. Certainly nothing like what we had last year when Palou got off to a good start. And while I think it's important to be at the top of the points, I got to believe, even though that not a lot of this transfers from a momentum standpoint, I would think you would want to have all of your ducks in a row and be clicking on all cylinders, literally and figuratively, by the time you get to the month of May. And then once the dust settles on the Indianapolis 500, that's when you get really serious about the championship.
Yeah, and one thing about the championship, it's always in the back of your mind. There's no doubt about that. Even when you're on racetrack and your car may be mediocre, you're going, okay, I got to get to the end. I got to make sure that this is a situation where I am still going to be in that championship. But you're right. It's such a long ways to go. There's so many things that could happen, but you're still fighting for that, and it's always in the back of your mind. No doubt about that. The guys that have won it before, they know how to do it, right? They know the mindset. They know where they have to be. They look back at the years before they won it and how they went about that, and I think that's really a lot of experience and key.
We've seen a lot of guys go into the month of May leading in the championship, and by the time we got to a race or two past the 500, they were out of it.
That's exactly right. And so, it's so much about consistency, and in every race counts. That's one thing I love about IndyCar. Every single race counts. Our point system really keeps it tight. Obviously, we had a year with Palou, right, that just was over the top, that I don't know if anybody could duplicate what he did. But right now, I think it's a situation. And you got to remember, even last year, Palou, at the end of the season, had some issues, and Kirkwood started catching up to him and started closing that gap, so it makes it fun.
A 66.468. Alex Palou is P1, and then Ritas VK, Romain Grosjean, Marcus Armstrong, Graham Rahal showing some pace here in this session.
Yeah,
He's
not
worked his way into the top 5.
That team is going to get better and better. They've been in a situation to where they've had qualifying has been just a kind of Achilles heel for them, and it seems like it's getting better and better. So anyways, we'll see what he can do. That was earlier on one of the Ed Carpenter cars. I think that was maybe Rossi, not 100% sure which car that was because of the onboard. But anyways, just got Charlotte's Web, got turned around, and they got it righted, and off they go.
Back to Michael Young.
A big announcement earlier this week, the Slim Fast Special Ed Carpenter. What is it, your 23rd 500? What's it going to be?
Yeah, I think it is going to be the 23rd attempt. My math isn't that strong when we get up that high in the numbers.
Is the speed still there? That is the question.
I believe so. I wouldn't be coming back if I didn't feel that we were still capable. So excited to get on track here at the end of April.
Host of Indiana-based companies sponsored on that car. How did that all come together? What kind of work went into putting the sponsorship for your 23rd run together for the 500?
It's a year-round effort, but Slim Fast is one of the newest brands that come on board. The Heartland Group, which, is prominent on all the cars, but, AES is a new partner, and Hatch, some other local companies that we have some cool things going with. So it's exciting to have so much Indiana represented on the car, and hopefully to be a fantastic May.
You obviously call the shots for Alexander Rossi each and every week. How difficult is it for you to step out of that role and to drive a car but still be able to juggle the owner aspect of ECO?
It's pretty easy, getting back into driver mode. It's, just thinking about one thing versus a million like on every other weekend. So I look forward to the May vacation.
If you had your choice to do forever, I guess driving would probably be the one, right?
Yeah, for sure. And, we talk about all the time, AJ did it into his 50s, so I still got a long road.
Yeah, you still do. Talk about this team, how it looks this weekend so far, how these conditions maybe have thrown a curveball to not only to you, but the other teams up and down pit lane.
Right back.
Oh, he just got a huge hit. Guys, we'll go back up to you. Ed actually jumped on his feet. We have a red flag here on the course. A big hit somewhere out there. Mark, take it away.
Yeah, Davey, it looks like the car of Scott McLaughlin has gotten into the fence and then some.
Yeah, that speed that where he went off, and I'm not exactly sure where that is, he was such a high rate of speed. He went completely through the wall, the safety barrier, through the chain link fencing. He is okay. I see him moving around there, but that car is really off the outside of the racetrack. That chain link fencing just really blew away right there. And man, they're going to have a hard time getting to him. And it's going to be red and checkers. It's going to be a long time to get that car pulled out. Matter of fact, they're probably going to have to pull it out the back side of that wall to get it the rest of the way. I will see. Wow, what a huge hit that was.
And it was very close to a station where the AMR IndyCar safety team was positioned, and they were there almost from the time, Davey, the car came to a stop.
You know, those guys deserve so much credit, and we say that time. They are so quick and so on top of things, and make sure these drivers are safe and get to them just like this situation. And no matter what, man, they have their eyes open all the time, and they know if things go bad, they got to get to that driver.
Davey, I've never seen a car go through a barrier and through the fencing like that.
Yeah, the car from where he went through is just almost completely buried, and there's a line of shrubs behind that car that's kind of kept him from going any farther. But he is out. You know, he's okay. He's out of the car. He's probably a little surprised too to see how buried that car is. I got to get our bearings right. I'm not exactly sure where he was, where that went off. Is that turn one?
Down in the area around turn one.
Yeah, I think that's turn one. And we've talked about that. That is an area where you really want to carry a lot of speed through there. But, man, it was almost, I tell you, he didn't slow down at all, like almost like a throttle stuck or something. And we'll have to talk to him. He'll tell us exactly what happened. But, wow, at that rate of speed when he went off course, he skipped across that gravel trap like it wasn't even there.
Alex Wolf is on his way to medical, and will hopefully catch up with Scott McLaughlin very, very soon, Davey.
Yeah, that is turn one for sure right there. And that's an area where when you go off, you usually kind of slide off, go through the gravel. But like I say, the rate of speed that he went off, I feel like something almost had to happen. I just never seen a car with that much speed going backwards to that area of the racetrack.
Here's the replay.
Oh, there it goes. He actually went off track on entry of that corner. So he was really trying to get it set up. That's a blind corner that you know, going into turn one, but right side's got off in the dirt, and that turned him around. That gave him no chance to really slow down. We have it on board with him right now, and we'll watch this as he goes down into turn one. And you can see it's blind, can't see anything. He just went too far to the right there, and turned it around, and man, he just went off. And I'll tell you, he kind of got lucky and went between two poles there where we went through that fencing.
Well, hands off the and interestingly enough, that car did not loop all the way around. It did the 180, and then it backed in, attenuator first into that barrier.
Yeah, and that's always good, although I think that safer wall and chain link fence right there, I don't think there's anything. Yeah, there's no hard wall there. It's really, I think, just safer barrier. I mean, I'm sorry, the foam blocks. I don't see any hard blocks. They're foam, and I don't think there's a concrete wall there, which is good.
Well, you saw the hands went off the wheel inside the cockpit, hands went up both sides of his head, and at that point, Davey, he is simply a passenger, and that car did not scrub off much speed at all before it made impact.
You know, that was, you know, we all take our hands off the wheels and usually hang on to your seatbelts. Did a little different. He put his hands beside his helmet, between his helmet and the headrest, to hang on to his head. Was probably a wise thing to keep head movement down, but, you know, just thankfully he's okay. That is the most important thing. You see how fast he was going, how hard it, and how safe these cars are and this track is, you know, and you know, they'll get that car fixed, but thankfully,
that's a big hit.
That view when it happened live, when we were watching it, when Michael was on air, it was unbelievable how fast he was going when he hit that.
Yeah, the rear wing assembly off the car. They've retrieved that now, and it, as you suggest, Davey, it's buried in there to the point where it's going to take some work to get it out of there.
Yeah, there we see the safety crew on top of that wall and trying to hold the chain link fencing to get that car pulled out. Now, I'm going to have to think there's going to be some work just for the safety of it to fix that area that he hit, because it wiped it out pretty good down there.
So he was, after being fastest yesterday, he was 12th fastest in this session at a 66.870.
Yeah, you know, and that just, he, you know, obviously has speed. We know that he can get the job done. We know that he's won here. That was probably like his fast lap. He's probably going to lay one down right there. And it just tells you how, you know, when I say he put his right sides off, it wasn't like he went off the track. He went off like a couple inches, you know, to the right.
Michael Young.
Yeah, with Tim Cindric, great strategist for Scott McLaughlin. We just saw a replay. What a hit. Did you talk to Scott, and is he okay?
Yeah, he said he was fine. He just obviously disappointed. Had a really good car there, and now we got a little work to do, but it looked like he dropped the right rear there and then spun around from there. So, yeah,
we'll just try and recover and go from there.
Is that an evaluation thing that you can pretty much tell what you're going to have to do, or is he buried so deep in there that until you get it back to the paddock, you can't assess the damage?
I think you got to assume that you got to go to another car because it's going to be pretty much everywhere, but maybe not. Yeah, we'll just try and put the pieces together and see what happens here.
We'll let you get back to it. Thank you for the time.
All right, appreciate it.
Tim Cindric, race strategist for Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, right now, Mark, they are looking on the back side of that wall because what happens when they try to pull that car out, it's going to pull that cabling and the chain link and try to clog it underneath that race car. Yeah, it might be easier to pull it from the back side of that wall, go up in that area where the grass is. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they're going to have to pull that car out. But, man, again, just the safety of these cars and the way this track's designed, just that he's okay.
Palou at a 66.528 is the fastest. Kirkwood, VK, Grosjean, and Armstrong the top 5. Then Ray Hall, Ericsson, Kyle Collette, 8th fastest. Christian Lundgaard. Then we go Pato Award, Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin, 12th fastest before that incident. And then Alexander Rossi, 13th quick, Santino Ferrucci, then David Malukas. Then we get into the 67s with the 16th place driver in Kiffin Simpson. Then Will Power, Siegel, Schumacher, Rasmussen, Robb, Newgarden, Hauger, Rosenquist, and Louis Foster. While we have time, while they make repairs and still try to extricate that car from the wall, let's go inside the paddock with Nick Yeoman.
Let's go inside the paddock to get a glimpse of what life is like for the teams and the drivers at the track. Here's Nick Yeoman.
Ask an IndyCar fan what they enjoy most about America's premier open-wheel racing series, and you're liable to get hundreds of different answers. One thing fans almost universally agree upon, though, is just how special and unique their access to drivers is on race weekends. Meet and greets and autograph sessions are the norm at IndyCar tracks, and while the drivers themselves don't ask for anything more than your support, sometimes one-of-a-kind gifts can end up in the hands of drivers like Christian Rasmussen.
I got like a race car made out of clay last year that a fan had made to me. So it had like, Java House on the side, 21, and I thought that was pretty cool, just to see the amount of time and work that went into that.
Fan is of course short for fanatic though, and some of the autograph requests drivers have received over the years have been quite unique. On more than one occasion, Romain Grosjean has found himself signing footwear of the open-air rubber variety.
I've been signing Crocs. Never thought that was going to be a thing, but I've done it a few times. So yeah, some good moments.
Surely a fan pulling their Crocs off their feet has to be the weirdest item of clothing someone has ever had to sign, right, David Malukas?
Somebody made me sign their underwear, dude. Yeah, that was crazy. It was really funny. It was kind of this whole bit.
Well, now, this is getting a little weird. There's no way you can top that Pato Award.
I've signed a baby. I've signed a couple boobs. I wouldn't say they were the nicest ones.
All right, well, I'd say this has thoroughly gotten out of hand. The NTT IndyCar Series paddock, a unique place with unmatched level of driver access. In the future, though, maybe we just settle for an autographed t-shirt or a hero card instead. Just a thought. For IndyCar Radio, I'm Nick Yeoman.
Currently under red flag conditions. IndyCar Radio, sponsored by Only Bulls, and we are with Rinus VK, who just saw the replay of Scott McLaughlin. What you saw, could you walk us through, if you were a driver, what happened?
Yeah, it looks like he dropped the wheel on entry, which is easy to do. I've seen it before. Very high-speed corner, one of the quickest corner on track. So I think for him, a really good thing that he went backwards. That's probably the most secure position you can be in as a driver. But I mean, at that point you're a passenger, and it seemed like he got airborne on the transition from gravel to grass. So yeah, I think he's doing good from what I heard. So that's the most important thing. And yeah, good reminder that it's high risk, high reward around this track.
You talk about how easy it is to drop a wheel there. What are you accomplishing as you enter that turn, setting up for the big roller coaster?
Honestly, like the wider you can take the corner, the every inch matters. You can shave, you can carry more miles an hour through the corner. So every corner has all these little tricks, and you got to be on edge there. But yeah, like you said, it's really high risk, high reward, and then you see it here.
Third quake in the session. Talk about the change in the weather, beneficial obviously to the team, but what did you discover? What did you find in this session over yesterday?
Well, yeah, I think the track temperature is about 50 degrees cooler today, so we knew that. We predicted that, so we kind of set the car up for these temperatures since it's not going to be as warm as yesterday anymore. So, of course, the temperatures yesterday created an imbalance, which of course, we still tweaked the car, but also we knew the track was going to come towards us. So, yeah, really happy with our pace here on the primaries. And I think the balance we have right now will be very beneficial when we go to the alternates.
We'll certainly look forward to seeing you I'll let you get back to the debrief. We'll look for you later on this afternoon to qualify. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Rinus VK, of course, driving for Juncos Hollinger Racing. And we'll get back to the booth and Mark James. But currently, again, Mark, under that red flag condition, the incident with Scott McLaughlin in turn number 1. Scary moment, but sounds like he is okay.
And they finally have extricated the car. It's up on a flatbed in Davie. I think Tim Cindric was on to something. They have work to do to get it back up there.
And it's going to be interesting until they get that car back to the paddock. And maybe just body panels and some, obviously some suspension bit, the wings pulled off. But it could be a complete different car until you really evaluate it. The good news is it didn't hit anything hard, but it hit at such a high rate of speed and it slowed down so quickly. You just never know all the things that are bent.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of hours to get that car ready before we go qualifying later today.
Yeah, and hey, they got a team. As a matter of fact, you know this. Every part of that Penske team will join in and try to help get that car, put back together and get Scott back out here. As we talked about yesterday, it was very fast yesterday. He's won here a couple times. We know he loves this racetrack. He's disappointed right now. But like I said, when you hang that right rear off that track going in, it wasn't like I said, it wasn't like he hung it way off. It was a couple inches, 2-3 inches that he was a little too far to the right. So, man, that every inch counts. It's no question.
AMR IndyCar safety crew is there en masse, and also some track officials there. And Davey, the focus on our video monitor is on that car now, and the fact that they have it on the flatbed, but they're trying to get it secured. But a couple of glances at the wall, it looks like that a lot of maybe a couple of those foam barriers that were knocked loose are at least intact. So it might be a matter of just resetting the tires and those foam barriers and getting them covered up. We should get back there.
I think it looks actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, the cabling seems like it did its job. He just kind of split those cables and went in between. And I think they're going to be able to get that chain link fencing down, probably just reattach a little bit. They have plenty of these foam barriers that they'll put into place. And, yeah, I think there's going to be looks like it's going to be a fairly quick fix.
Tim Boppin, who heads up that AMR IndyCar safety crew, is there, and he's got phone in hand and doing plenty of video of this incident, Davey. And, every time there is an incident on track, that is filed away and it is used as training for these teams moving forward.
Well, one thing with Tim, that he's been on every part of the safety crew. He's been doing this a long time. He's the guy in the right position to do what he's doing because he has seen it all, and so he'll know exactly what to do. Actually, the car's getting taken off on the flatbed truck into the pit area. There's a lot of bent stuff on there, no question about it.
Let's go to Alex Wolf.
And Scott McLaughlin right now having a chance to look at the replay and just what was the incident from your perspective?
I just dropped the right rear, unfortunately. Testament to the safety of the IndyCar and what Barber's done here. I mean, honestly, I think the crash looked a lot worse than it felt. I'm actually, I hope we can get this thing fixed and go out and just ship it again in qualifying. So, I knew the impact was coming, so to try to brace myself and then I ended up halfway through the fence. So it was pretty exciting, but I'm sad for my guys. I got my best crew on pit lane. They'll fix it and as much and fast as they can. But yeah, it's a shame.
So with as big as that impact was, there's that a moment of sort of a pause or thought before you got to send it in there going for qualifying?
I can't wait to get back out.
Well, great to see you're okay, and we'll see you later today.
Thanks, brother. Cheers.
Yeah, good stuff from Scott McLaughlin, and I think for all intents and purposes, that debrief kind of reaffirms the fact that it certainly was not as bad as it looked.
Yeah, how do you not love that guy? I mean, he just tells it the way it is. I mean, if it's on him, he says it's on him. If it's not, I mean, really, you really enjoy guys like that tell you exactly what happened, and they're fun to watch.
Michael Young.
Yeah, with David Malukas, I'm still getting adjusted to you in this Verizon fire suit. You look good in it, though.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It looks awesome. Loving Verizon, loving the car, loving this team. It's a dream come true for me.
Talk about this session and obviously the change in the weather conditions, the additional speed. Did it change the handling of the car, and how much do you guys have to chase it?
Definitely changed the handling, but I mean, nothing that this team isn't used to, and they got the setup where it needs to be. So waiting to go out for this group running here at the end and see what we can do on these new primary tires. But overall, we're looking very strong and very happy with the car.
What are your thoughts between the primaries, alternates? Alternates have always been the preferred tire, or normally the preferred tire here. Do you have any inkling of what it'll be this year?
Nothing yet. It's going to be, I'm going to leave it up to these engineers to play the guessing game on what we're going to do for the race.
What is your favorite part of this course? Obviously, the iconic Spider and the Charlotte's Web here. Do you have a moment when you get to a corner, you're like, oh, this is a part I really enjoy it? You attack maybe more than another?
I would say it's that last sector, coming down the hill under the compression, going back up where the alt line is, turn 13, 14. I mean, it's so much fun. You're carrying so much speed into there, and you think the car's not going to be able to do it, but there's so much downforce there. It's just crazy how much speed we can carry. So for sure, that's my favorite.
Appreciate the time. We'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
There you go. David Malukas, driver of that number 12 Penske Honda, that Verizon Chevrolet.
Davey, we talked yesterday about how challenging 13 and 14.
Yeah, no, he's right. The compression there is so drastic, and there's so much, and it's, it makes the steering wheel hard to turn. But that area, man, it's loaded. But then it goes from the most loaded portion of the racetrack to the lightest part of the racetrack within, a couple hundred feet, and that's a challenge as well. What you can carry through there, as David said, is it's really fun. And as a driver, you love to feel that grip. But like I say, you got to be careful going over that rise. It's blind after that, and the car really gets light.
There were some sections of wall that were damaged, and those have been taken away. They're loaded up on a truck, and I'm sure, Davey, that'll be part of the debrief as well. I mean, they're going to look at the impact of those walls and how those walls handle the impact of that race car.
Yeah, and you really, you nailed it, too, with the tire barrier. There's 2 rows of tires in that soft foam. That's the barrier outside of those. That looks like one's missing. They're probably going to bring another one down from somewhere, stick it in that hole. But I'm really, he had it in the right spot. Like I say, in between 2 of those poles. The poles look pretty darn lined up to me. It looks good. And then they got that fencing back down. The cable did what it's supposed to do. As he said, pretty surprised how soft it really was. And that's the kind of wall you want to hit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a softer barrier like we see on an oval, but it's very, what a great opportunity. And behind that, by the way, are shrubs. That's another soft thing. By the time he went through all that, he got into the shrubs, which slowed him down as well, which is a soft hit.
We've also talked about the gravel around this course of the runoff areas. It's rare here to see a car get buried in that runoff area, but it does kind of slow them up a little bit.
Yeah, unless they're in that situation where he skipped across it so fast. But you're right. And every gravel trap here is made to slow you down. But on the very outside of it, between that gravel trap and that safer and softer wall, I should call it, is a grass lane. And like down in turns 2 and 3 down through the roller coaster down there, guys can go through the gravel trap, slows them down, but they can get on that grass and continue on. So a really good design, actually.
So we've got Indy next race number 1 coming up, Davey, after we went qualifying a little bit earlier this morning. And I thought, given how abruptly that the conditions had changed for the first practice session yesterday, those drivers all handled it very, very well.
Yeah, no, what a great run. I mean, tell you what, that AJ Foyt car has been fast, and now they have 3 pole positions in a row. And, how impressive is that by DiTullio that, the kid was so excited. And so he'll start on the pole today. He'll start on the pole tomorrow. He started on the pole in Arlington. I feel like he kind of got robbed out of a good finish there, but with what happened on the start of that race. But this is a really good opportunity for that kid, that AJ Foyt team, to get out front, maybe not one, but potentially 2 of these races this weekend.
Race control says we're getting closer. We don't have an exact time, but we are getting closer to getting back to green flag conditions, and we will have a couple of 12-minute sessions coming up as they make their final preparation before we go qualifying a little bit later on today. Well, as we mentioned, 2.3 miles in length. Front straightaway, 1,400 feet. The backstretch is around 1,100 feet. 17 turns, 7 left, 10 to the right. Of course, we run clockwise here. There are some 80 feet of elevation changes and banking in some areas at either 10% or less. And we like to every now and then get one of these talented drivers to let us climb in the cockpit with them and take us on a lap around these fabulous facilities. Doing the duties for us this week is Felix Rosenquist.
one of the most elevated tracks of the year. So basically starting on a very short start-finish stretch, you only get a few seconds, a couple of upshifts, and then you're going straight into turn one, which is, I think, technically the fastest corner of the track. It's about 140 miles per hour, I think. Then straight into sort of hairpin, turn 2 and 3, very long right-hander going downhill. Head back on one of the longest straights, actually. Hardest braking of the track going into turn 5, and probably the one overtaking opportunity I would keep my eyes on as a fan or spectator on the track. Turn 8 and 9 is kind of this like chicane, like a very quick entry, and then you have to position the car right over that curb, where we've seen a lot of people go off. The right amount of curb, I'd say. If you take too much, it kind of rattles the car, and you struggle to get it under control into 9, which is kind of like a dipper down the hill. Then you head back on the back straight. You have a chicane on the back, and then you go into I think the most iconic corner on the track, turn 12 and turn 13, which is a left and right-hander. It's a lot of elevation. You kind of go down the hill into big compression, very heavy steering weight, and then you go over the little crest. Once you're over there, you have the timing line, and then you have this kind of go into another compression, a really, really long right-hander, which is fairly quick, turn 14, 15. Just, I'd say probably the most physical part of the track, and this is one of the most physical tracks on the calendar as well. Just a long load, and you feel your arms and your neck through that one. And yeah, to close the lap, you go into turn 16 and 17, which is this right and left-hand combination. So it's I'd say a lot of combinations on the track. You don't have a lot of corners, which is just one corner. You have, something leading into something else, and you have to think one corner ahead, basically.
Good stuff from Felix Rosenquist. That's a lap around Barber Motorsports Park. And we are under a red flag condition. Single car incident involving Scott McLaughlin. He's okay. Just got a shot back of the paddock, and the team looks like they're getting the backup car prepared. Let's go to Michael Young.
Yeah, down on pit wall, talking to defending race winner, sat on the pole last year, Alex Palou. He'll go out in that second group. We were just talking a little bit about this breakup in groups, and even though this facility is so large, beneficial for you and the team to be able to have a split up group and to get more track time with less cars?
Yeah, I think for practice it just works really well. I think, this year we started implementing also in practice too. It's been just really good to not have to be dealing with so much traffic, be able to practice a bit more, get some more setup changes. So yeah, it's been good, been happy. So let's see if we can get back on track now before qualifying. And that's it.
How does a car feel for you thus far? Big change yesterday from conditions yesterday to today. Is that something you need to chase a lot, or is it just a couple of adjustments and you're right back in the wheelhouse?
Yesterday I was medium happy, let's say, but today I'm super happy with that number 10 car. So obviously you always have stuff to improve, but we're just looking at details right now ahead of qualifying. So let's see if we can keep this car balance for qualifying. It's going to change a little bit more. The conditions get a bit more of a warmer temperature, and see how it affects everyone. But so far super happy.
For a layman and not being out there in these cars, the wind is actually blowing down pit lane. It's died down a little bit, but does that affect you when you guys are actually out on track? Is that something that you feel when you go down into turn number 1 or head out into the back straightaway?
Yeah, I mean, we have a big tailwind on the back straight now, so we're getting a bit faster into turn 12 and 13 compared to yesterday. So I guess everybody was a little bit more on the rev limiter today, but part of that, breaking into turn 5 a little bit tougher, but at the end of the day, it's the same for everyone.
Lastly, such a magical season last year, and I know we talked the latter part of the season. I said to the fans, Alex Palou will most likely win this race this weekend, but we were witnessing such a magical season. And to come into this season, we thought, well, as soon as you want to say, Pete, we're going to have much of the same, but the competition has really tightened a little bit. Is that something that excites you as a driver to be able to have this happening?
Honestly, 2025 was insane. The best year of my life personally, and also on track. It's tough to have a year like that, because then you have so much fun that you just want to do it again. But honestly, we're not really comparing to last year. I feel it's there, it's in the books. I'll try and match it as many times as I can during my career. But I feel happy with how we started 2026. This team is incredible. Everybody at CGR is just pushing more than that they did in the past. So I'm excited for this weekend. It's a place I love. I see so many fans already all around the track. So hopefully we can get that number 10 DHL on Victor Lane on Sunday.
I'm glad you went from medium happy to extremely happy, because unfortunately we had to checker this session because of the damage to the fence. So the car's good. We'll see you out in qualifying a little bit later on this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that I finished very happy on the previous session. It's a shame we cannot go back on track, but happy that Scott is good, that he's safe. I think that barrier, it looked a bit nasty, it looked fast, but I think the barrier did an incredible job on getting a lot of energy from the car and from the crash. So, yeah, it's good to see him that he's good, and he'll be ready for qualifying.
Appreciate the time as always. See you in qualifying.
Thank you.
There he is, Alex Palou, defending race winner and, of course, reigning champ, four-time champ here in the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yeah, good stuff from Michael Young and Alex Wolff helping us to fill that time during the red flag. And Davey checkered on the session. Yeah. Apparently there's some cable damage to the fencing. Got to get that replaced. The integrity cannot be questioned whatsoever. Always err on the side of caution. So that means checkers on the session. So if you're happy, you're happy. If you're not, you're not, because now you go qualify.
Yeah, straight to qualify. They learned a lot, and they got their time in, so they're going to have a good idea. But you're right. It's safety's first. There's that cabling down low. Obviously, there's shrubs and things we couldn't see, but you got to get it right.
11:55 local time, 12:55 Eastern. The 35-lap Indy next race will come your way. And then at 1:30 local time, 2:30 Eastern this afternoon, we will go qualifying for our entire crew. So long for now from the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix.
The preceding was an exclusive copyrighted presentation of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network. This is the NTT IndyCar Series on IndyCar Radio.
What's the difference between a Hinchman fire suit and others? Safety. Hinchman fire suits are made with materials that are permanently fire resistant. Experience and innovation. Peter DiPaolo wore the first Hinchman fire suit in the Indianapolis 500 nearly a century ago. Quality and value. Your fire suit is an investment in your safety. Hinchman Racing Uniforms, committed to giving you the safest and best fire suits along with friendly personal service. That's why we say nothing fits like a Hinchman.
Hauling stuff for a DIY project or planning a big move? Whether you're headed across town or across country, Penske Truck Rental has some of the cleanest, newest, and best maintained vehicles on the road. With quick pickup and drop-off, flexible reservations, and personalized support, we can help ensure you get the right, reliable, fuel-efficient vehicle when and where you need it. Gain ground with Penske. Get a quote at PenskeTruckRental.com or download the Penske Truck Rental mobile app today.
Attention, those of you looking to go on a fun vacation and see the world on the cheap. Today, the U.S. dollar is worth even more in other countries, so there's never been a better time to travel outside the USA. The dollar is worth over $1.30 in Canadian dollars, and it's the same for Australia. You can fly there today and have fun and maximize your travel dollar. Your U.S. dollar is worth over $3 in Brazilian reals, and it's worth over $18 in Mexican pesos. Plus, in Argentina, it's worth over $27 in Argentine pesos. Just think of the bargains you'll get. And the way you get the cheapest airfare to any destination is by calling Tickets That Cheap. Save up to 75% on your foreign vacation tickets. Don't wait. Call now. 800-932-1548. 800-932-1548. 800-932-1548. That's 800-932-1548.
This is an IndyCar flashback. Listen as we dig into the archives and relive the most iconic moments in IndyCar history. Now, here's Alex Wolff.
Have a trip back in time to relive some great IndyCar action with IndyCar Flashback. This is Alex Wolff, joined as always by the Director of Editorial for Penske Entertainment, Paul Kelly. And Paul, when you talk about classic races, the one we're looking at today, the Delphi Indy 300 Chicagoland Speedway, September 2002, this is one that I think a lot of fans think about when they think about classic IndyCar races.
This was peak pack racing. This was it. I mean, this was the era of giant packs running around. It looked like a pace lap at 225 miles an hour, lap after lap after lap. And this was about as peak as it gets for that kind of racing that we had in the IndyCar series at that time. And, I mean, what a finish, but what a race, too.
And really what a time period, because 2002, when you think about it, 7th year of the CART IRL split, but really sort of a changing of things as far as allegiances. You had Chip Ganassi Racing, came in 2000 to Indianapolis, won with Juan Montoya. They come back in 2001. In 2002, they have a full-time effort for the first time with Jeff Ward. Team Penske had made their return a year before at Phoenix and Indianapolis, one with Helio Castroneves. They're back with 2 cars full-time. Gilles Deferne, who had won the last 2 CART titles, and Helio was back as well. So an interesting time with that sort of old guard coming back over from CART and taking on the IRL establishment led by Panther Racing and Sam Hornish Jr.
Well, you're right. The dominoes were starting to fall, which led to unification. But I remember the big subplot of this season was, okay, Panther was the best team at the time in the IRL, but just wait till Penske comes over full-time. They're just going to smoke them. Everybody just expected that little Panther, the little engine that would just get steamrolled by Team Penske. And that's not what happened. I mean, if we want to go back and look at this was race 14 out of 15 for the year. And Sam Hornish was leading the points with Helio and Gilles behind him. And there were those 3 drivers were only separated by 8 points coming into this race. And this was the second to last race of the season. And that's another thing that I think they need to remember, and that is this race was crazy.
Yes.
And it was the second to last race. Like, everything was at stake here. And yet they still raced like scalded cats. I mean, it was just nuts. I mean, it looked like the first race or the second race of the season where you're not really thinking about points. You're not thinking about the big picture. This was all big picture, and it still was just insanity on 4 wheels. The other thing, too, is, again, with this pack racing, I did a little bit of research. I actually do that from time to time, Alex, going into these. I don't just wing it. There were 7 finishes that year already under a 1/10 of a second. The average finish for 13 races was 9/10 of a second, the average margin of victory. So, like, every single race that year, you're watching the finish with your hand over your eyes.
Yeah.
And split just enough so you could see through the crack between your middle finger and your ring finger to see what's actually happening. And man, the stakes were high, but man, the risk was high. It was a different kind of racing, and it was nuts.
Anchor Mike King, Johnny Parsons Jr., the driver analyst turn announcer Mark Janes. They had a busy day, and we'll hear some of it beginning with the start.
Green flag is out. Sam Hornish Jr. moves to the point in front of Buddy Rice. 3rd place belongs to Al Unser Jr. Good racing back in the pack. We'll be keeping our eye, of course, on points leader Helio Castroneves, who goes off in the 21st spot. Mark Janes, Sam Hornish Jr. off of turn 2 as the leader, heading your way.
He is down the back straightaway at the midway point. Then Buddy Rice right in his tire tracks. Then Al Unser Jr. Then it's Mira and both side by side in the entrance to 3rd floor.
Boy, we see 3 wide racing in the middle of the pack, JP, and we see that it is one of the Team Penske machines. That is Gilles Deferne, who is making the move quite early, as he is already up to 6th place.
Deferne's passed almost 5 cars. He got a good draft down the back straightaway coming off 2 on that first lap, and he picked off 5 guys, and he's running 7th now.
So Gilles Deferne right now right on the rear wing of Robbie Buell in turn 3.
He sits up high on Robbie Buell, takes the high line through turn number 3. Now as they set up for 4, it's Buell by about a car length and a half.
Through the tri-oval, Sam Hornish Jr. will be the leader. 2nd place belongs to Buddy Rice. 3rd place to Sam Hornish. Make that to Al Unser Jr. Fourth place belongs to Billy Boat as they head off of turn number 2 onto the back straight.
Still Sam Hornish Jr. by about a car length and a half. Buddy Rice right in his tire tracks, being patient for now. Buddy starts to drive it down low into turn number 3. Now the car brushes up high. It's still Hornish to the front straightaway.
We're keeping our eye on Helio Castroneves and JP. It looks like he wants to make a move down low, but cannot clear the bunch of cars in front of him. Helio Castroneves is still exactly where he started. He continues to run 21st.
Ellie dropped a spot at the beginning. He just got past Langhorne again, but he doesn't really show much strength right now, and he's not going anywhere in the draft as he's down the backstretch behind about 7 cars.
Mark Janes, he is in front of you. Helio Castroneves
still bottled up. He tried to get a great jump on the start of the green flag at the exit before. He had to climb on the binders just a little bit and get out of it, and that cost him, as JP said, a couple of spots.
And Mark, he has lost another position as now Helio Castroneves has dropped back to 22nd place. We see Buddy Lazier go to the low side. Lazier now and Helio Castroneves were racing side by side and nose to tail off of turn number 2. Leaders are already through 3 and 4 as we continue to keep our eye on Castroneves, the points leader. Sam Hornish Jr. this time will cross the stripe with 5, making 4 laps complete here at Chicagoland Speedway. A speed of 219.105 miles an hour. Mark Janes, the lead pack, heading your way.
Buddy Rice content to ride right now a couple of car lengths behind Sam Hornish Jr. as they pass in front of us. Now we see Alonso Jr., Mike. It looks as though he's starting to close and he's bringing 0 with him.
Alonso Jr. with his best starting position of the season, the second time that he has started from 3rd on the grid, and he continues to hold that spot. Billy Boat has given up a position as he drops back to 5th. Now he goes wheel to wheel and side by side with Vitor Mira off of 2.
They stay side by side in the exit of turn number 2. Looked like Billy Boat had a bit of an advantage. That's the way it looks at the midway point of the back straightaway. Now Mira starts to pull out again as they enter 3.
You know, Mark, I've got to wonder if perhaps Helio Castroneves does not have an ill-handling car. He has not been able to make up any sort of ground, continues to play with the cars in the back of the pack, but does not seem to be able to push the go button, at least not at this point. Going to be interesting to watch him right now as he goes side by side with Will Langhorne in turn number 1. So Mark will keep our eye on Castroneves now as he makes his way off of turn number 2.
He and Langhorne are basically side by side. They've been nose to tail for about the last 2 laps with Castroneves behind Langhorne. Helio still can't get by. Now he sticks the nose in front of him and he enters the 3, and finally he's going to make that pass.
And a couple of things that really jump out at me, Paul, with that first clip is, for one thing, the subplot of the race with Helio Castroneves and that tight points hunt starting deep in the field. And the other one is when you put together clips for a show like this, and this pack racing, it's sort of hard to find sort of where to end the clip. You could almost just play the whole race because it was just such exciting action.
Yeah, it sure was. And Helio's problems at the beginning were really interesting because, spoiler alert, he was a factor at the end, and he was buried in the pack. And another thing I forgot, too, was that there was a bit of an interesting equipment contrast between Panther and Penske. Panther and all the other Chevy teams were using the 2nd generation of the Chevy engine, and it was basically the most current engine. Penske decided to stay with the Gen 1 all season. The Gen 1 was basically the 2001 engine with a few upgrades. They had gotten used to working with that engine when they dipped their toes into IndyCar the year before, and I don't know. You just wonder if maybe that first generation didn't quite have the power. You assume the 2nd generation is better than the first generation, but that was very interesting to me. I'd forgotten about that, and you're absolutely right. There was just, you just had no idea who was going to be able to come from the back, although it was pretty clear listening to these clips that Sam, because he started on the pole, and Al Jr., who had tied a career best, at least in the IRL, by qualifying 3rd, they emerged pretty quickly as those guys were pretty much the class of the field. Buddy Rice was strong. He had his moments early in the race, but Al Jr. and Sam Hornish Jr. were the 2 guys who were pretty much there all day long.
An incident on lap 52 would change the complexion of the championship.
Under caution for the 2nd time of the afternoon for an incident involving Gilles de Ferran. De Ferran was racing off of turn number 2 when suddenly it looked like he perhaps lost the steering in the Marlboro team Penske Dallara and made hard contact with the outside wall in turn number 2. JP, a very odd sort of looking incident because once Gilles hit the car's throttle was stuck wide open, and even after the car slowed to a stop, the rear wheels continued to circulate wide open, and the safety team had to be very careful as they approached because pieces of rubber were being thrown off of the wheel as it continued to I don't know what the RPMs at that point were, but it looked like the throttle on that car was stuck wide open after he hit.
Close to wide open, and the safety crew did in fact turn the switch to shut the engine off. That's very similar to what happened to Scott Sharp in Indy in about 96 or so. But he was obviously appeared to be unconscious, but we didn't see the tire make contact with the helmet or anything like that. But what it looked like happened right in the middle of 1 and 2, Mike, looked like he got his nose got right underneath the rear wing of Tony Renna, lost the air to that. That's what caused the car not to steer, if you will. It understeered and got out in that gray, and that was it. But it didn't hit it real hard. I mean, if you're running 210 miles an hour.
He made pretty hard contact, and then Mark Janes, the car rode the wall almost half the length of the back straight towards you.
Yeah, and the safety crew was on the scene almost immediately, and as you said, a pretty precarious position because that wheel continued to spin, throwing rubber everywhere. Dr. Bach, the medical director, is on the scene, and we see an ambulance pulling up to the scene right now attending to Gilles de Ferran.
And how this would change the complexion of the championship with that tight battle like we talked about at the top of the show. Gilles de Ferran doesn't get medically cleared, and while mathematically still alive coming out of this race, would not be able to run for the title at Texas.
Yeah, that was a big change, and it did set up just pretty much a head-to-head showdown at Texas between Elio and Sam Hornish. But that was a big hit for Gilles. I mean, if you recall this era, there weren't any small hits, and this was only a couple of months, too, after the safer barrier was introduced at IMS. Remember, the safer barrier was introduced in May of 2002, just about 4 months before this race. So no tracks that I know of, or maybe only a couple, had started to install it, and so they were still hitting exposed concrete at these speeds, and there weren't any small hits in this era of the league. And unfortunately, it eliminated Gilles from the next race. He had a concussion, and he was not cleared to race the next event. But again, things to remember. We just kind of take the safer barrier for granted, as I think it's one of the greatest safety inventions of the last 50 years, right there with the Hans device, fuel cells, whatever, the big breakthroughs. And it wasn't on these tracks, so these hits had a lot more consequence to them.
Now, Gilles de Ferran's 6 car still competed at Texas. I know you do your research, but do you recall who ran at Texas in that car for Team Penske?
Max Pappas.
Yes, it was. It was Max Pappas. Yeah,
boom.
Yeah, who had made his first IRL start, I think, earlier that year at the 500, and I believe he was in the 3rd Cheever car before Buddy Rice had come onto the scene.
Yeah, there was quite a revolving door. I mean, the entry list before every race in those days was always something you took a good look at, because there were a lot of changes in the lineup. I mean, you definitely wanted to buy your program before the race in those days, because as the Hawkers always say, you can't tell a players without a program. Well, that was definitely the truth in this era of IndyCar.
Amazing finish. It's Hornish Jr., it's Unser Jr., and here's how the last 10 laps of it sounded.
190 laps will be complete this time by 10 laps remain here at Chicagoland Speedway, and what has been a thrilling conclusion to this Delphi Indy 300. An amazing show of racing finesse out front as these guys are racing nose to tail, inches apart from each other. Unser and Hornish in 3.
Don't really call either one of them a leader because they're trading the lead time and time again. It only counts on the start-finish line, and we'll do that in 9 laps.
We have had 16 lean changes here this afternoon. Al Unser Jr. is the man out in front by 87 thousandths of a second. Off of turn number 1 on to 2. Here they come, still hooked side by side.
Eddie Cheever continues to run side by side with Elio Castroneves. Then it's his teammate Buddy Rice. Felipe Giafone behind him. Then behind them is Buddy Lazier, Scott Sharp, and Raul Boisel. They're that close.
The first 6 cars are lined up perfectly in 3 rows of 2. And now Buddy Lazier trying to split that 3rd row as he tries to go between Eddie Cheever and Felipe Giafone. Giaffoni. Now they're lined up Mark 4 abreast as they come off of turn number 2.
Rice and Giaffoni did not separate, give Buddy Lazier any room at all. Now Cheever makes a big move down low, pulls in behind Al Unser Jr. He went from the high side to the low side, but Al was there to shut the door.
193 laps will be complete. This time by it will be Al Unser Jr. by a nose. So the 18th lead change of the afternoon as Al Unser Jr. now leads by 85 thousandths of a second off of turn number 2.
That move last time down the back straightaway cost Cheever some momentum. That allowed Castro Neves to pull out a little bit. But Eddie got that momentum right back. Pulls up almost even with Castro Neves in the extra to 3.
By the way, I did not remove it to the 4th decimal point the way our timing and scoring system does. That was 85 ten-thousandths of a second last time by. There were 2 zeros in front of them. Unbelievable as they continue side by side. Al Unser Jr. the leader. 194 complete mark. We're working on 195 and 3.
What a pack of cars. Raul Boisel trying to make a move at the midway point of the back straightaway for the 6th position. Buddy Rice slammed the door. Boisel still going to try to get that move, and it looks like he's going to make the pass at the exit of 4.
Raul Boisel once again will go to the low side, almost forced onto the apron. These top 11 cars, Sam Hornish, Al Unser, Eddie Cheever, Elio Castroneves, Felipe Giaffoni, Buddy Lazier, Buddy Rice, Scott Sharp, Raul Boisel, and Vitor Mira running in a vicious pack at speeds of 218 plus miles an hour, separated by inches, nose to tail and side by side. This time by 196 of 200 laps will be complete, and it is Sam Hornish Jr. as he leads it by a nose. 19 lead changes here this afternoon. The differential is 92 ten-thousandths of a second off of turn number 2.
Scott Sharp has decided to push the go button. He's made a move around a couple of cars. One of them, Felipe Giaffoni, and the other car of Weldon. Scott Sharp is trying to get up into the fray. Oh, Weldon and Giaffoni almost touched. Weldon backed out of it.
So Weldon and Giaffoni come very, very close, but both of them back out, and it looks like everybody is clean and green to go. 197 complete. Mark Janes are off of turn number 2.
Here come the leaders down the back straightaway. It's Sam Hornish Jr. and Al Unser Jr. locked side by side. They tried to make a move. That was Cheever, and Castro Neves went below the white line to shut the door.
That time, clearly, it looked like that Elio Castro Neves tried the blocking maneuver on Eddie Cheever. Going to be interesting to hear what Cheever has to say after this one. 198 laps complete. Will Cheever have another move for Castro Neves this time by?
He is strong at the exit of turn number 1. He's strong at the exit of turn number 2. Cheever looks high on Castro Neves this time. Instead of going down low, he's going to try to pull right up behind him and does.
198 laps. We're working 199. They'll see the white flag this time by the lead pack of 11. All bunched together and separated by less than a quarter of a second. In turn number 1, Unser and Hornish separated by less than a thousandth of a second off of turn number 2.
Al Unser Jr. with a bit of an advantage at the exit of turn number 2. Fans on their feet in the back straightaway, pumping their fist. Sam Hornish Jr. pulls out in front. Mike Lazier goes to the high side. Get the cameras out for a photo finish.
Buddy Lazier trying to make it 3 wide. Al Unser Jr. Sam Hornish side by side. Hornish is going to win it. Sam Hornish Jr. by 24 ten-thousandths of a second. Sam Hornish Jr. has won for the 4th time this season. An amazing finish in the Delphi Indy 300 at Chicagoland Speedway.
I mean, it almost speaks for itself, but when you have a race that you're talking about 10,000ths of a second, I mean, it doesn't get much closer than that.
I think the margin was like 3 inches.
Yeah.
After 300 miles. 3 inches.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 3 inches. I think it was. It was like roughly, they said it was about 3 inches. And the crazy thing about that finish is that Al and Sam ran side by side for the last 29 laps of that race. And I remember afterwards they talked to Sam about it in Victory Lane. He said, well, the best way to get around somebody is just, to be pushed from behind with this pack racing. Again, nobody understood it better than Sam. And Sam said, Al and I just realized if we just sat up front, nobody could get around us. Literally, it was a rolling chicane, and they were the 2 strongest cars, too. It's not like they were blocking guys, but the thing about listening to the finish and also watching it is that we kind of got a sneak preview for like the last 7 laps before the white flag. Sam would come off a 4, and you could hear Pancho telling him, his spotter, Pancho Carter, You had them by a couple inches there. You had them by a couple inches there. You were up by about a foot. You're up by about, 5 thousandths or whatever. So it seemed like every time they came off a force, Sam had that tiny little edge, and that's what held. But you also got to ask yourself, I think Sam and Al were clearly the two fastest cars. What if they had gone nose to tail those last 28 laps? Would they have pulled away? Probably not, because, again, that era, the draft was strong enough, and everybody was just pinned.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was lifting. It was just pinned all the way around. So I think those other cars probably would have gotten together in a big pack and caught them. And, again, you have Al Unser Jr., two-time Indy 500 winner, one of the greatest of all time. You have Sam Hornish, who I just called the best oval racer in IndyCar I've seen in the last close to 30 years. I think they know the strategy a little bit better than...
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you're just joining us, we have been in a holding phase, really, basically under a bit of a red flag. What I can tell you is we're not going to be getting anywhere. Next up will be the Indy Next Race, which we will be bringing you on JB Motorsports if, of course, now here's the if. It will happen if, of course, the repairs are done in time. The drivers will make their way through at 12:54 the drivers to the cars. They'll get the command at 1 past the hour straight after. Then we'll find ourselves with the green flag hopefully being dropped at 8 past 1 p.m. That is, of course, in EDT time zone. So that is to come here on JB Motorsports in terms of next up, but that is, of course, if the repairs are done. Now, the most important thing is Scott McLaughlin is okay. For anyone who has not seen it, he basically went through the barrier. When I say through the barrier, he did not go into the barrier. He went through the barrier quite literally, which is why we've basically been standing around, sitting here, waiting around for something to happen. But of course, understandably so, that's us done for IndyCar at the moment. Next up, it's trying to get the track ready for the Indy Next Race. And then, of course, we'll be back later on for qualifying. So that is the situation currently here at, well, the circuit. It's been dramatic. I would like to say a huge thank you to IndyCar Radio, as per normal, for talking us through that session. The most important news, and I'm delighted to say that Scott McLaughlin is okay. He's been confirmed, clear, and that is exactly what we wanted to hear. Thank you very much for joining us and sticking with us. Next up is the Indy Next Race here on JB Motorsports. Let's see whether it'll get underway, when, and how it'll all end up. Well, we'll see you there. But for IndyCar, we'll see you later for qualifying.